Hey folks, just running just a couple minutes late. I have to download my little video preview. I'll be starting in just a moment. Thank you. Okay, testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. How's that audio balance? I think we're ready to go. Sorry for the delays, everybody. I had to do a little quick audio test, and then I realized I did not have my video bumper downloaded. I must have deleted it because I thought I had it from last week, but it is what it is. All right, everybody. I think we should have a really good show for you tonight. Going to introduce it in just a minute. Well, let me introduce it first before I welcome you folks in. Tonight's show is going to be a little different than what I normally do. Instead of doing a live reaction to a Girl World video, I'm going to be reacting to a documentary on HBO Max because they are really, I want to say, I don't know, I don't want to get too sidetracked. So I'll just say they're really uncool with letting people use their content, even if it's within the boundaries of copyright law. So there's a good chance they may try to strike this stream down. If they do so, I can get it put back up, but it's not going to let me continue doing it tonight. So if that does happen, if the stream gets struck down, I'm going to just read off you my notes, just do it without the audio because it's better than nothing. And I can maybe edit in some audio later. So tonight's episode is going to be about the Pearadise documentary called Big Girls Wanted. This has been a rambling intro. My apologies for that. Big Girls Wanted. It's a documentary about a man named Stefan, a German national, and he has a community in Las Vegas dedicated to feederism. There's no nice way to put it. It's dedicated toward inviting over women who are exceptionally heavy, who have eating disorders, and enabling their eating disorders for his own sexual gratification. That's probably the nicest way I can describe the place. So with that out of the way, let me welcome you folks in. Welcome in, the Glitter Files. 69, good to see you, friend. Rory, STFU, welcome in. Lazy Tech Skid, good to see you. Welcome in, JB. Welcome to Pearadise. You can never leave. Oh, let me take off the starting soon here. Welcome in, Marsha Philly Pal. Hopefully you're having a great night. For her, it's worth it. 1 second of fame would be worth it for her. Welcome in, Detective Coaches. Yeah, Stefan has not been around for he's quickly worn out his welcome. I really wanted to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, and he's really disappointed me in a lot of ways. We're going to be discussing that tonight. Don't have anything good to say about him. So let me finish welcoming you folks in, and hopefully the audio balance is good. Absolutely. Rosee really wanted to be the center of attention here. She claimed that this was her big break into the mainstream media, and everybody was jealous of her. Of course, because the way we're all jealous of Foodie's relationship, we're all jealous of Rosee's fame. The same way we're jealous of Amber's relationships, right? You know, we're just jealous of them like that. Yeah, there's no recourse. There's nothing I can do, really. All I can do is just try to get put back up, because what are the damages? How much money can I sue them for? $1? Right? Like, there's nothing I could sue them for. So that's the reason why they're able to get away with not enforcing the law the way they are, because the people who can afford to do something about it are not impacted. He likes to have sex with food. I mean, he probably does. I haven't thought about that, but I'm sure he does. Yes, Stefan is a predator. He is a predator. I absolutely will give him that title. Welcome in, Hippieista. Sugar Honey Iced Tea, welcome in. I don't recognize your name. If this is your first time in, good to see you. If you've come in before and I just don't recognize you, my apologies. We're glad to have you here. She's a big star. Gave it away, right? No worries, Hippieista. Enjoy the show. That's what replays are for, right? They don't tell you the price of fame, the price of feederism. All right, let me cut down this music here. So let me look at my notes really quickly and see if I have some introduction I want to give before I get started. I feel like I have a little bit. Let's see. So Stefan here, I don't want to try to do too much intro, because I feel like it's just going to be confusing. So I'm going to give just a little bit of intro. Stefan has this community in Las Vegas. It's like think of it like the Playboy house, the Playboy mansion, but like way seedier. And he has these women over there, and he keeps saying that this is a community built around sisterhood and body positivity. And he keeps saying how benign and safe it is. And that is the real crux of the issue for me. I said this before the other day when I did my intro to the Pearadise community. And I talked about how Stefan, at the time, I was a little bit more sympathetic. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt then. So the way I phrased it was that he needs to be clearer about his intentions. Now that I've had a chance to see the documentary and I've realized how long this has been going on, it's clear that he's intentionally not being clear about his intentions. And that is why I feel comfortable classifying him as a predator. I think that if he had made it clear that that he was attempting to engage in a sexual relationship with these women, and he clearly explained that to them, I think that would change the context of a lot of what happened. The context that exists is that he presented this as a non-sexual, platonic environment where you can make friends, and then he propositioned them sexually. That's not cool, Stefan. And you don't need to do that. Just like speaking logically, and this is why the more I think about it, the way I have no sympathy for this guy. But first I was a little bit less harsh with him. But the more I think about it, I really there's just no justification at all in any way for him. He can't even claim he's naive. He can't even claim he's naive because he's been doing this for too long. He's been doing this for too long. This has been for years now, right? Welcome in, Jay Gutchy Gus. Hopefully you're having a great night. Rosee? Yeah, Rosee's been all over the place with Stefan. She did a stream where she was buddy with him. Hey, well, hopefully we don't scare you back into lurking. But good to see you. Yeah, and I usually hang out in Scar and Nikki sometimes. I usually lurk mostly myself because usually busy doing other stuff during the day. But I like to go by there. Nikki especially has really been doing some amazing work. Shout out to all the people covering this, but Nikki in particular has done some really spectacular work archiving. So if any of my mods want to put a link to Nikki T's channel, they're more than welcome to do so. Because I'm going to probably be using one of her clips tonight, one of her archives. She is a star. She only needs 90 seconds to be a star. She's like trying to think of a good analogy for this. She's the star of the show, even though she only has one scene, right? Because that's all anybody really wants to see. Right? Thank you, Rory. It really is. He's trying to run a sister-wife type cult, and he keeps trying to say, no, it's just a daycare. It's just a fun time. Oh, very cool, Nutty. I'm glad that you folks had a chance to see it, because this is more of my opinion and less of a summary. Like, I'm going under the impression that most people are already familiar with the basic storyline here, so I'm not going to spend too much time going through the introducing it. Oh, Stefan? That's another thing about Stefan. That's why I don't have I've lost any try the word for it. I've lost any excuses. Or maybe excuse him. I can no longer excuse him in any way because this has been going on for too long. He clearly knows that there's been more than one woman who he's had an issue with, who's felt uncomfortable. If this happened one time, maybe we could chalk it up to cultural differences or something. But this has happened too many times now. He knows better. And if he's still choosing to misrepresent himself and misrepresent his community, it can only be because his intentions are not good. You can only make mistakes so many times before it becomes a pattern. And that's what's going on with Stefan. You could say he doesn't realize he's just very he's very I'm trying to think of he's very cuddly, you know. You could say no. It's happened too many times. There's been too many instances where he's made somebody uncomfortable and said he didn't realize. And it's just too many times. It's too many times. I'm all for giving people the benefit of the doubt, but at this point he knows better. At this point he knows better. At this point he needs to do better. Yeah, there's a lot of It Takes Two here, and that's one thing I also want to say. I think some of these women, especially the ones who left the house and who now are had a very negative experience there. I think some of them should have never gone there at all, and I don't mean like they shouldn't have gone there. I mean that it wasn't just that Stefan was too aggressive. It's that the entire environment was bad for them. If you're somebody who's in a fragile situation mentally, if you're somebody who has low self-esteem, if you're somebody who's struggling with addiction issues, and that describes the majority of the women in this documentary, to as far as I know, that's not an environment that's good for them. That's not a safe place for them. They're not in a position where they need to be in such a sexually charged and high pressure environment where they're going to be pressured to make decisions like that. And Stefan understands that. So there's a lot to discuss. So anyway, hopefully they don't take it down. If they do take it down, I'm just going to read off my notes and then I'll do a little Rosee stream that I had planned anyway. On Feeble. Yeah, that's another thing. Feeble. There's this whole website, it turns out, dedicated to promoting feederism. Wonderful, right? There's an entire freaking website dedicated to that stuff. And that Stefan has some of the women in his house. It's not clear exactly what percentage of them, but some of them are basically selling sex, is the nice way to say it. They're selling sex work on Feeble. I'll put it in the nicest way possible. So there's nothing good going on there. There's nothing good going on there. Oh, good point, Rory. And that is something that I think is, yeah, I think this is going to raise Stefan's profile. I think if anything, this is going to get him more potential problems and more potential conflicts and more potentially more victimization as well, even though I hope that's not the case. Yeah, shout out Nikki T. She's done such great archiving. Thank you, Nutty and JB. And welcome in, everybody. Let me take a moment to welcome everybody in. I know I'm doing a long intro tonight. Welcome everybody in. Welcome in all the lurkers, all the chatters, anybody watching the replay. And let me also just say once more that there is a chance the stream will get taken down partway through, in which case I will be back and I will just be reading off my notes without the audio. So with that said, I'm just going to cut through the comments and then we're going to start the show. Yeah, right. We're just trying to have some fun. Why are you doing serious stuff like getting pregnant? There's all, yeah, I think that was in part 2. I don't recall. But I watched the second part as well. You know, the part I didn't see part 3 yet, but part 2 was definitely like a lot darker than part 1. Part 1, if anything, I think part 1 was a little disappointing. Part 1 didn't really go into didn't really address like a lot of the issues that I feel like part 2 did a better job addressing the issues, in my opinion. Part 1 was more just like an intro. What up, Elizu? Good to see you. Hopefully you're having a great night. That's another thing, Rory. He realizes that these women, a lot of them at least, I can't speak for all of them, but at least a lot of them appear to be very mentally vulnerable. They don't appear to be in a good state. Some of them say they had nowhere to go. They had never been in a good relationship before. They give off all of the signs of people who are not able to make I'm trying to think of a word for it, who don't have the ability to consent fully, right? Like they're under pressure, they're mentally unstable, they're struggling in a lot of ways. And if Stefan realizes that, he should say, hey, you know, I don't think you're in a situation. I don't think you're in a state where you should be coming here at all. Yes, Hippieista, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the show. And this episode tonight is not monetized. I demonetized the stream, partly, hopefully, to protect me from a potential copyright claim. I don't think it's going to matter, but I tried that at least, so hopefully that'll help. I do agree with you there, Elizu. I think if somebody never heard about any of this stuff, it will be very enlightening. Oh, Nutty, let me give a little spoiler. That's actually a clip from the show. There's a part where they say to him, let me find it. Here, with 25 minutes left, 25 minutes, 7 seconds left, I did timestamps. They ask him, do you consider yourself like Hugh Hefner? And he says, no, I don't consider myself to be like Hugh Hefner. Or I don't want to be seen as Hugh Hefner. I want to be seen as unique. I want to be seen as the first Stefan. So his issue is not that he doesn't want to be seen as Hugh Hefner because Hugh Hefner has some negative history. That's not why. It's not because Hugh Hefner is very controversial. It's not because Hugh Hefner has been accused of misconduct. Say it like that. That's not why he doesn't want to be associated with Hugh Hefner. It's because his ego is too big. He doesn't want to be compared to somebody else. That's why he doesn't want to be associated with Hugh Hefner. Can you believe that? Is insane. He doesn't want to because I'm bigger and better. I'm the first Stefan. I'm not the second Hugh. It's like, whoa, my God, the ego on this man. Ooh, more like a soft Andrew Tate. And yes, there is an element of him basically putting these women to work for him and making money off of him. So yeah, there's another element there. Okay, so let me begin here. Hopefully you're going to be able to hear this. Let me make sure the oh, I got to add the screen here. So let me add the screen and let me switch to the other tab. Share this tab instead. All right, I got to take it off visually because you can't see it. I'm sorry. All right, we got to go to this visual, and hopefully you'll still be able to hear it at least. So again, the stream is demonetized. Hopefully that will protect me from copyright claims. Probably not. And I'm going to use the audio. If the audio gets this stream blocked, I will come back on and if this stream is blocked, I will come back on and just read my notes without the audio. So without any further ado, let us begin with the show. So I've already introduced it a few times. Just one more quick introduction. This documentary is about Stefan, the leader of this community. The documentary is going to be interviewing him, interviewing the women, and it's going to be describing the community in part one. So it's going to, I wish I didn't have to cut it up so much, but it's going to be a little bit hard to follow because I'm cutting it up like every 30 seconds. So let's let it get started here. So my notes here, I say at the beginning, it starts off with a mischaracterization. Let's hear where that starts. Oh, let me turn back the audio. Hold on.
Treated with respect. That is...
All right, this is already messed up. Let me try this again. So, 3954. Okay. The audio is up. Hopefully, let me make sure the audio balance is good. All right, this is as loud as I can get it, so hopefully this will sound loud enough for you. Let me know if you can hear this all right.
Everybody deserves to be treated with respect. That is what Pearadise is about.
I wanted to go there, I wanted to document it, and I also wanted to experience it too.
All right, so the woman talking there is a reporter who went to go visit it. And Stefan says that he wants everyone to be treated with respect. He loves everyone. He loves plus-sized women. All this type of thing. This is a mischaracterization. He doesn't love plus-sized women. He has a fetish for plus-sized women. He has a fetish for death fats, not plus-sized women. Plus-sized women implies women who are not able to, who don't fit in straight-sized clothing. It does not imply women who are at death's door. He truly, the closer you are to death, the more attracted he is to you. And he goes on to explain that throughout the show. So let's go on to the next clip. Sure, hippie. I mean, sure, hippie. I hope this stream doesn't bring down your, doesn't negatively affect your mood on that. But yeah, absolutely, I don't mind. I don't mind. There you go. Some amen. Amen in the chat. Prayers for you and the baby, hippie. All right, let's get back to the more serious stuff now. So the next clip here is going to discuss the relationships of the women in the house.
Great. But you're giving up a lot to engage in the sisterhood.
Pearadise was being advertised as a safe space.
You're giving up a lot to engage in the sisterhood. Pearadise is being advertised as a safe space. I object to the term sisterhood because you sisters shouldn't be sharing a man. I mean, I don't know what kind of family these ladies come from, but I don't believe in siblings sharing a lover. That's just right there. I'm not comfortable with that. So that's why, like, the very idea of sister wives and all that. Exactly. 500 plus. So much for body positivity. Exactly. Oh, well, you don't exactly fit my type, so get the heck out of here. You need to gain some weight or you can't come over here. Oh, no worries, Nutty. To an extent, I am. I don't deny that, and I hope that I can bring a different perspective. I'm certainly not the only perspective on this. I don't think that I'm the only. Let me give a disclaimer. This is my opinion tonight. I usually take the position of somebody who's an authority because I feel like I'm an authority on the subject of being overweight and trying to watch your weight. On this subject, I'm not an authority. On this subject, I'm more an observer. On this subject, I'm just trying to give my opinion rather than give what I feel is like I'm not trying to edit. I'm trying to just give my opinion more so tonight than I normally would. It's not so much about, not trying to give you answers. I'm just trying to give you more of my opinion tonight. I don't disagree with you. I mean, I get your point. I'm just saying that they shouldn't see each other that way. And it's sad that they see each other that way. But I respect that they do. I just wish that they didn't. I guess maybe that's the way I'm putting it. I wish they didn't. So, but I do accept it though. I don't, when I say I don't understand it, I mean more like I don't accept it. Maybe I should rephrase that. I don't accept it. I do understand. I kind of understand it, but I don't accept it. I don't like it. Maybe that's the way I should say it. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of sisters sharing a man. I think that's headed for trouble. Yes, very much, Rory. He doesn't. If there was a woman who was heavy and he really loved her and she lost weight, he would lose his attraction to her. That's a fetish. That's not the same thing as being attracted to somebody who's fat. And yeah, absolutely, Elise. He does take advantage of that. And the more I've watched, the less sympathetic's the wrong word. But I was more open-minded in the beginning. I really wanted to give Stefan the benefit of the doubt. I know that sometimes, backlash can snowball. So I really wanted to get it directly from him. I wanted to hear his own words. I wanted to judge him, based on firsthand accounts. And after hearing it, I don't like him. I don't have a good opinion of the man. I think he's a manipulator, and I think he qualifies as a predator. As much as I don't like to condemn people, I always like to see the bright side. I can't when it comes to him. He truly is reprehensible at this point. Oh, I'm glad I appreciate that, Beast. I'm glad you enjoy that. I agree, Rose Thorne, and basically he really is. Like in the second part, he directly admits to it. He directly admits to putting them on the internet and letting other men come over and pay for their services. Oh wow! I still have to see part 3, and part 2 I kind of rushed through a little bit because I just didn't have the time. But I'm gonna watch it again. Okay, so let's keep going on to the next part here. So, let me fast forward just a little bit.
Girls eat. Even if you're 500 pounds, you're still not big enough for him.
There you go.
He's easing you into his fetish.
Stick it in your mouth.
It's dangerous.
He's easing them into his fetish. And they say that it can kill you. Let me play
You
this.
need to be careful. Like, it can kill you.
There, it can kill you. That's true. But I do think we need to acknowledge something here. All of these women have serious issues with food addiction. I'm a food addict. I'm in remission, I like to say. I'm in remission. I still eat way too much. I still eat the wrong stuff, but I've kept my weight from going back up to where it's unhealthy. I've managed to keep myself at a relatively healthy weight. At my heaviest, I was 100 pounds heavier approximately. I was around 300 pounds. Nowhere near the women in this documentary, but I can at least come from a similar perspective of having been heavy. So I just want to, and being a food addict. So I relate and I sympathize with these women in that sense, which is why I want to mention that when they talk about feederism being dangerous, yes, it is. But what's dangerous about feederism is it is enabling their addiction. It's not creating their addiction. It's perpetuating their addiction, but it's not creating it. So I just want to make that clear. And I don't think they can get help for their addiction while they're in a feeder relationship. So of course it's a terrible thing, but I just think it's important to acknowledge that it's not like these women had healthy relationships with food prior to meeting Stefan and engaging in the feeder lifestyle. I just think that's very important to keep in mind. Oh, Jesus, so many good comments. I'm so far behind. Okay, let me just catch up on a few comments. We're going to be here all night if I read them all. Yes, I did hear that, Rose. I saw that part. A woman basically brought a man in there and let her perform acts on him, on the other man. And I'm sure it wasn't the only time. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Yes, it's a front. Thank you, Rose. It's a front. And I apologize for missing so many comments tonight, but I'm not going to be able to keep up with all of them. So I'm going to do my best. If mods, if you see a comment that you really would like me to see, please repost it for me. So hopefully I'll notice it. But I can only, it's a little difficult for me to follow it tonight. Oh, Sugar Honey iced tea. Respect, Sugar Honey. I have so much sympathy for anybody struggling with their weight. And that's part of why I do this show. Sometimes I come across like a jerk. Sometimes, but it's always well-intentioned. If I genuinely thought I was stopping people from getting better, I would stop doing the show. I think that this show is a positive. And I think that every now and then maybe I make some mean jokes or whatever, but I really do think it's helping more people than anything. And that's why I like to do it. I think it's a positive outlet. I think people, we talk about, they use the term sisterhood. I think that's a bit much, but we could use the term camaraderie. I think we have camaraderie here. I think we have friendship here. And I think that, or at the very least, we have a positive association that helps reinforce positive ways of thinking. So I think that is a positive community in a true sense. So let's continue here. So the next clip I want to go to, this is actually just like a minute or two in. So let me skip forward just a little bit here. The next clip, it says, she talks about the body positivity cult, as I like to call it.
When chic era, where everyone was thin as a rail.
Okay, so this part here is
And there was a long time that I felt really ashamed of my body.
This woman here is a reporter. She was a guest at the house. Because of the way I have to do this, I don't have her name right in front of me.
Over the past few years, the body positivity movement really helped me start to feel comfortable in my skin again.
This is okay.
So when she says it helped her to feel comfortable in her skin, I take issue with that. I don't see the body positive, in quotes, as a good thing. The so-called body positive movement is basically people giving up on health. It's people saying, I'm never going to be healthy, so why even try? And people can try to characterize it in other ways, but that's pretty much at the center of it. I don't think it's possible to separate the so-called body positive message from the idea of giving up on being healthy. So as much as I like for people to be happy with who they are, if being happy with your addiction is not a good thing. You shouldn't be happy and content with a self-destructive lifestyle. I don't think that we should be encouraging alcoholics to love their bloated guts from drink. I don't think that that's a positive. I don't think we should be encouraging smokers to love their cough. Love the sound of your cough. No, don't love the sound of your cough. That's not helping you if you're a cigarette smoker. Like this is really unhealthy thinking disguised as so-called body positivity. It's not. It's there's nothing positive about it. I mean, well, I shouldn't say nothing positive. I'll say there's almost nothing positive about it. And anything positive about it is very much outweighed, pun intended, by the negative. So let's go on to the next clip.
Instagram, TikTok, social media in general, we got to see people swapping tips and tricks about how to feel more confident in your body.
So they're talking about how watching Instagram improved her opinion of the, quote, body positive image and community.
It was a call to action saying, stop hiding, wear what you want to wear. Life is too short.
Can you please?
Life is too short. Well, it's much shorter when you only live to 60 or to 50.
Show me how amazing you look today.
The body positive movement changed a lot of people's lives.
They talk about seeing people seeing, quote, fat women doing, quote, amazing things on Instagram and how that inspires them and makes them feel confident and comfortable to be so morbidly obese. And great to feel confident. But let's just keep in mind, Glitter and Lasers was somebody who did a lot of amazing things online that were all staged. Her walks, her original workout, her 1.5 years working out with Copilot, those were all staged. Her healthy meal prepping, all of her hiking. It's just, there's so much fake crap being put online, and I don't believe it. So when they talk about seeing these morbidly obese women do things and inspire them, a lot of it's just faked. A lot of it's not real. So it's lies perpetuating lies. Like, if they showed the reality, it wouldn't look so good. If they showed the truth, which was Glitter and Lasers couldn't even walk, a 1/4 mile without collapsing barely, I don't think that would be promoting what they call the body positive lifestyle. So they're very wrapped up in propaganda and lying about themselves and misrepresenting their own health. Right? They belong together, those two. Yeah, I cannot stand Tess. And in a way, I don't like that she's in here, but I like having another chance to call her out. I definitely could see that. And yes, Elise, social media is very much an image that they portray. Very much. They flew Rosee to Vegas for 2 seconds. Oh, and let me say something about Rosee and experts. All these so-called experts on reality TV shows. Anybody here who's worked in reality TV, maybe you can give me some more insight. But from what I've heard from people who've worked in reality TV, and maybe not any big shows, but like web shows, that kind of stuff. Whenever they have an expert, whenever they have somebody like that, they're really just saying the producer's words. The producers write up a statement and they give it to the expert, the quote expert, and the expert reads it off. And it's just a way of giving credence to their own opinion. So the producers, whatever their opinion is, that's what Rosee's going to say, because they're going to edit out anything that doesn't voice their opinion. So that's what they're really doing. The producers are simply using Rosee as a way to mask their own opinions. They're using her as the shield for their opinion. So if they say something that doesn't get received well, they could always just say, well, that was our expert that we hired. Oh, that's probably a good point. They probably did get like way more content at first and just have nothing they were actually able to use. Okay, so let's continue on to the next clip here. They talk about stigmas they face. And I do accept that people who are very large face stigma. I think there's a difference between stigma and genuine concern. So I just think that's worth pointing out. So let me fast forward to the next clip here.
Hello, my little dreamers.
There's a magnet effect for these women who's been told their body isn't desired or wanted. Finding a space of community is really self-esteem building.
Self-esteem building, or is it a trap? Is this a trap designed to capture and to lure these women who have poor self-esteem? I don't think it's designed to build their self-esteem. I think it's designed to build their dependence on an external source of validation. That's what I'm saying. But I'm not the expert here, of course. I'm not a feederism expert like Rosee. So let's go on to the next clip here.
But that was the goal that I would tell people. The real goal is just to see inside this house where I was the beauty standard.
So this woman here was a reporter, and she went into this house. She said part of the reason she went there was to do a story. She actually comes across relatively impartial, so I don't some of the people in this documentary come across better than others. Obviously, Stefan comes across the worst. Some of the women come across very well. Some of them come across relatively well. Just say it like that. But this woman comes across quite well. She comes across articulate, and she seems to be reasonable for the most part, of course. I just, even though, and when I say reasonable, maybe not on the subject of feederism, but in general, they seem reasonable. So let me go on to the next clip here. One of the women describes her first interaction with Stefan. So let me fast forward a little bit. And I wanted to show stills from the show, but just the way it is, I can't show stills and use the audio at the same time. So I'm just using the audio instead.
Opening secret this message today.
All right, let's find the clip here. So 30 to 20.
And I was like, they'll tell me I have like a pretty face. She's like, no, you're beautiful. And I just, nobody had ever said that to me in such earnestness before.
So this is an example of the mindset of the women entering this community. These women are not in a good position emotionally. She says that this is the first time anybody had ever told her she's beautiful in her life. She looks like she's in her 30s. She's never heard that before. And she's in tears as she says it. That's not somebody who's in a position to clearly, that's not somebody who's in a good mental state to make decisions for herself as far as a relationship. Stefan can easily recognize that. How does he respond? Does he respond by saying, you seem to be a little bit fragile, you seem vulnerable. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Are you, is this really, because I'm about community and friendship and sisterhood and all that kind of thing. So if you don't want to engage in a relationship, why don't you go stay in the guest house where we don't engage in sexual activity? Go stay there. And if you do decide differently, then he doesn't even give her that little bit of respect. He doesn't even give her that little bit of decency. He just tries to move in. He's a predator because when he senses weakness, he jumps in. That's why I call him a predator, because he is attracted to weakness. He's attracted to vulnerability, rather. Let me say it like that. He's attracted to vulnerability. So let me play a little bit more.
As a woman, you can do more things in the world if you know that somebody feels that way about you, you know?
So you could just tell this woman's a very vulnerable position. He needs to recognize vulnerability and not abuse their trust. That's the crux of it, in my opinion. That's why he's a creep. Because when he senses somebody vulnerable, instead of trying to shield them, he tries to exploit them. It's hard to find the exact spot.
Where they can come and not worry about what they're wearing. And
Stefan, that man is everything.
Did you hear that? That man is everything. If that does not scream vulnerability to you, what does? That's one of the other guests at the house. That's not one of the women who's accused him of anything. But that woman there says he is everything to her.
He gave me somewhere to call home.
What?
And I love it.
Gave her somewhere to call home and she loves it. Is that somebody who's in a position to reject him? Is that somebody who could genuinely tell Stefan, Stefan, I appreciate the help, but I'm not interested. Thank you, but no thank you. This woman would do anything he says. Let me go back. So let me go to some of your comments here. I know I missed a whole bunch. I didn't even know that she was trying, to be fair. Me? I haven't worked out in months, to be honest. Back when I used to work out, it was every week. Back when I was serious, I used to work out like once, twice a week. I would work out for a while when I would go to the gym. I would spend like maybe 2 hours in the gym, like once to twice a week, back when I did work out. Yeah, I could see why that would appeal to some of these ladies. He offers what appears to be stability, but no, he doesn't. Yes, I do walk a lot. I walk all the time. I don't like to sit and lay down. I'm very active a lot in that way. So yeah, I mean, I don't go to the gym, but I am active. So you could say that. Yeah, he tries to appear non-threatening. Exactly. Wolf in sheep's clothing. He's intentionally portraying a guise. He is not genuinely this innocent, harmless guy who sees everything in a non-sexual way. Everything he's doing is sexual. And it's disturbing to see. And when I first heard him talk, I really wanted to keep an open mind, but just everything about him is creepy and bad. Let me go.
I'm never leaving. He can't get rid of me.
I'm never leaving. He can't get rid of me.
He genuinely loves women. Our bodies are celebrated in a way that a lot of people don't understand.
These women sound very mentally manipulated. They sound confused. They sound like they're under a spell. You know, not literally, but they might as well be. These women do not sound rational. The ones who are speaking right here, of course.
Stefan is Pearadise. He is the reason that we all have it.
So let me fast forward to the next clip. Where they talk about what's expected of them in the Pearadise house. So we got an idea of how they feel about this. Let's hear what's expected of them.
Hey.
We got to fast forward just to drop more. Here we go.
Days.
He will expect you to clean. He will expect you to cook. He will expect you to order groceries. He'll have you fold boxes and label boxes to help him with his business.
Okay, now that one's a little bit weird. The first couple are like, all right, well, whatever, you know, roommates, right? You're roommates. You help out with the chores. I mean, that's pretty reasonable. But why are you helping him with his business? Why are you getting paid for that? I mean, the video here is showing them assembling boxes to mail out some kind of product or some kind of merchandise. Are they getting compensated for this? Because this is pretty clearly using them to work. I mean, yes, they're being given room and board, but typically you're given more than room and board when you're an employee. So, I mean, and then again, they're also providing more than physical labor. They're also having sex with this guy. So, I mean, there's all kinds of boundaries are being crossed here.
There was a herd mentality that we all had. You do your part, you do what's needed.
I mean, just the fact that they're living as roommates, that by itself is not odd. But the part where he asks them to do the, you know, help his business, that's a bit much. So let me fast forward just to drop more here.
He would put us on camera doing videos for the Pearadise TikTok.
So having them record content to make money, again, he's Rose said he's basically a pimp, and without even getting to the sex work portion, this is, you know, it's kind of like pimping, right? Like this, just because there's no sex involved, he's exploiting them. He's emotionally manipulating them to work for free. You can call that pimping.
Those drew people in. And it absolutely exploded.
We're getting kind of close.
Stefan and the other women have gained mass.
All right, let me, I got to put on the AC. I'll be right back. Let me share the bumper. Give me just like 10 seconds.
Followings.
All right, let me go back to, whoops, didn't share, did it? All right, never mind. Well, okay, we're going back to the documentary. Here we go. So, didn't share the bumper, never mind. Let's continue on with this one.
Keep going, keep it going.
Let me find the clip here I wanted to share. 20. But some people here would describe him as a cult figure. He is, in a sense, but where is this not like a cult? Let me describe to you how I don't feel like it's a cult, because the term cult is very specific. Ways this is like a cult. They all live together. They all have shared work. they are expected to have sex with the leader. I mean, that's pretty blatantly a cult thing. But how is it not like a cult? People are freely allowed to come and go. You're allowed to associate with non-members. You are not prohibited outside sources of information. You are welcome to use the internet. You are allowed to have guests. But in other ways, it is like a cult in the sense that you're forced to work and give your money to Stefan. So it has elements of a cult, but I don't think it fully qualifies as a cult. So that's my opinion on that. I think it has elements of a cult. So let us now go on to the next clip here. One moment. Just fast forwarding a little.
And very big. Like she would be 6 foot or taller, and she would definitely be 500 plus.
So Stefan here is describing his preference for women, 500 plus pounds, 6 feet tall. So he likes big in every way. I'm not going to shame the guy for what he likes. I don't think there's any, I mean, I think it's perfectly fine to have a sexual preference, to like what you like. Nothing wrong with that. But when it becomes a fetish, when it becomes a obsession, when it becomes abusive, that I do have a problem with. And I actually pulled up, perfect time to segue, a little brief interruption. I pulled up a website that describes what is the difference between a fetish and a preference. And I thought it was a pretty good description. So let me pull that up and we're going to share that very briefly. So let me put this on screen. And you can see this here. A preference versus fetishization. A preference is and this is from a website. Let me put the link in the chat. I don't know anything about this website, but I did think this article was pretty reasonable. So let me post it. Trafficking. I think, yeah, it could fall under the definition of that because he is providing them a place to stay, but he is not holding them against their will. But he is coercing them. It could fall under the definition of that. You could make that argument. Oh, welcome in through the Looking Glass. I agree with you on that. Stefan is an excellent manipulator, and he's very good at giving affection, giving praise, and keeping them attached to him through emotional bonds. He emotionally bonds them to him. I agree, Glitter Files. Walking every day. I walk every day. I walk around. I like to walk around just in general. I'll go take a walk outside. I just like to move. I'm somebody, I don't like to sit still. That's one thing that helps me keep the weight off. Definitely. I don't like to sit still. Exactly, Alizu. That's the thing. When I first heard him talking, when I first heard this place, my opinion was, well, Stefan just needs to be up front. He just doesn't realize that maybe he's so I really tried to make excuses for him at first because I just didn't want to believe it. But after hearing it, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's intentionally misrepresenting himself. He's intentionally misrepresenting his community. And I want to make clear for anybody who didn't miss the beginning, if Stefan said this is a sexual community, this is a community based around sexual activity, it's based around being my sex slave or whatever he wants to call it. If he made that clear, then and the women went there under full knowledge of that, and they were not in vulnerable positions, then I would really not take issue with what went on there. But that's not what's going on here. These are people who are vulnerable, and this is a man who exploits that vulnerability. That's excellent, Marcia. Just staying active like that is the key. Because if you work out really hard, it's great, but it's hard to keep up. You got to keep it consistent. Exactly. It's a false sense of comfort he provides them, a false sense of security he provides. Oh, I'm safe. I don't want to exploit you. I just want to admire you. I just want to respect you. I just want you to have friends. I want to make you feel good. It's lies. And these women should be skeptical, but some of them are vulnerable. Some of them are not emotionally stable. And Stefan, as somebody who is of sound mind, or who appears to be of sound mind, needs to recognize if somebody else is not. He needs to recognize if somebody else is not emotionally stable, and he needs to say to them, I don't think you're in a stable mindset. I don't think you're ready for this. Indentured servitude, that could be a good description. Jim Jones of feederism. Feederism is deadly. Thank you for mentioning that. He's already there's a lot of bad stuff he's doing, but the most dangerous thing he's doing, the most directly harmful thing he's doing, is the feederism, which is enabling these women's addictions. If it were any other addiction, people would not be okay with it. If Stefan said, there's nothing more beautiful to me than a woman who's strung out on drugs. If he said that he was attracted to women who were strung out on drugs, and he thought it was hot when they were totally, out of it and foaming at the mouth for being so high, we would say, Stefan, you're crazy. You're exploiting vulnerable people. If he said that he loved women who were gambling addicts, and he was nothing sexier to him than a woman who just lost all her money in the casino and had nowhere else to go. Just think about this. This is so insane. But because he says it's about women who are fat and who eat, that's okay. No, it's not. People are so scared to call out. People are so afraid to oppose the body positive movement. They don't want to be seen as being body negative. I don't even know what you'd call it. They don't want to be seen as being rude or insensitive. So they're unwilling to call out the dangers of the feederism community. There's nothing positive about feederism. It's exploitation and it's fetishism. Oh, in Jonestown? I think I missed a comment in between there, but I'll take your word for that. Exactly. He wants vulnerable women. That's what he wants. And that's terrible. Welcome back, Nutty. This has been a very slow-paced live. You have not missed that much. In Pearadise? Oh, the women were having sex with other men. Okay, I misread you. I read that as the men were having sex with other men. That's why I got confused there for a second. I misread that. Okay, yes. No, that's true. They are. There's multiple. He's inviting other men there to pay money to participate. He's basically hoeing them out. So all right, let's continue reading here. So a fetish versus a preference. A definition of a preference: a natural, flexible attraction to a trait. So if Stefan liked heavy-set women, that would be a preference. Fetishization: a rigid desire based solely on someone's identity, which is only being attracted to that, and finding anything else, and not be completely uninterested in anything that does not embrace that identity for you. So I'm mumbling my words, but you get what I'm saying. I'm rambling. The focus. When you have a preference, you focus on the whole person. So maybe you find, maybe you're attracted to somebody, you find them very beautiful, but there's more that you like about them than that fetish. Whereas the fetishization, why am I having so much trouble with this word? Fetishization, the trait or category they represent is what you focus on. So you kind of ignore the rest of the person. An example of a preference: I tend to like Latino guys. Not me, of course. Fetishization: Latino guys are so spicy and passionate in bed. Preference: the power relationship is more balanced. I think this one's a little bit more of a way to recognize it, rather than. So if you look at a relationship and it appears to be a balanced relationship, that's a sign toward it being a preference-based relationship. Whereas if it's a very imbalanced relationship, it's more likely to be a fetishization relationship. That's how I'm reading this. And then finally, at the end, I would use different words for it. I would say preference is harmless, whereas I would say a fetish is dehumanizing or harmful. Or self-destructive. That's the other word I would use for it. It's destructive to yourself and the object of your attention. So that's differences between a fetish and a preference, and I think Stefan pretty clearly falls into the fetish category. This is not a preference of his. This is very much a fetish of his, and it's a harmful fetish. This isn't a benign fetish, like, you know, liking long hair or something. You know what I mean? Like, this is a sick one. Yep, Chubby Bunny Ranch, exactly. Now, I get you on that, Elizio. I get that. It's like there's definitely a difference between attraction and a fetish, right? All right, let's keep it going here. So let me put back the other one. Let me share that. Whoops. Let me go off the video. Hold on. So I don't. All right. So let me find the next segment here. So we're going to clip at. Okay, the next part here is about acceptance and love. Let me fast forward just a little bit.
Go all in a row. Like ducks in a row. Everybody, yes.
Okay, so to give a little context here, the video clip they're showing is Stefan and the women basically playing a game in the yard, like a game of hide and seek or something. A very benign, friendly, non-sexual game. That's the video clip that's being used here.
Paradise is a place of acceptance and love for plus-size people to visit.
3, 2, 1, walk.
So he's recording them here. He's recording them here, doing like a modeling walk through the place. Let me put the audio back on.
Tell me about yourself, because it's not an open invite.
Your turn, Stefan.
Let's see if we'll get another 16 million views, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he says that he's bringing these women over here just to have fun. No, it's not a place for acceptance and love. It's a place for Stefan to engage in sexual activity. How do I know this? I wrote this out earlier. Stefan, go 1 year without making a sexual move on any of your guests. Do that, and I might believe you. Restrict yourself to the women who don't come to Pearadise. How about you stay and play? How about the women at the community? How about you keep your word and you only engage in non-sexual activity with these women? And I'm not saying you have to be celibate, but if you want to engage in sexual acts, how about you do it with the women who aren't your family? How about you don't have sex with your family? How about you go have sex with some women you're not, you don't consider your sisters? This reminds me a little bit of the Michael Jackson thing again. You know, if he loves kids so much, but why do they have to sleep in his bed with him, right? Like, why can't he love them without them sleeping in his bed? Stefan, why can't you love plus-size women without making them engage in sexual acts with you? Why can't you keep your word and demonstrate your non-sexual love for these women in a non-sexual manner? They don't need to be judged, but can they also not be creeped on? So I thought that was that's my challenge to Stefan. Stefan, if you truly are not using this as a harem and a sexual playground, then stop having sex with everybody there. It's that simple. Just stop it then. If that's not your point, then why do you keep doing that? Fair, is that a fair question?
Plus-size people in a swimsuit can let loose without ever feeling judged.
Without feeling judged.
Can't do that at a public beach.
Can't do that at a public beach. But you know what you can do at a public beach, Stefan? Plus, these 500-pound women can't go to a public beach without feeling judged. But you know what they can do? They can go to a public beach without being creeped on by you. They can go to a public beach without being sexually exploited. So, I mean, maybe the public beach is better. And I don't appreciate the way Stefan makes it either or. He's like, oh, the rest of society doesn't appreciate you. The rest of society doesn't love you like I do. The rest of society rejects you. So come here and I will take care of you and I'll have sex with you. It's like, why is one or the other? Why is it either society hates you or Stefan is going to have sex with you? How about Stefan respecting you without having sex with you? Can he do that? No, he can't, because he's a creep. And this is why I've stopped having any I've stopped giving him any kind of trying to think for. Stop giving him any consideration whatsoever. I no longer give him any leeway. So let's continue here.
The privacy that we have makes paradise paradise, that you can be yourself and not feel watched.
The privacy is what makes it so good. You can be yourself and not feel watched. The women or you, Stefan? Who is the one who really doesn't want to be watched when they're engaging in their sexual activity? Maybe it's mutual, but I'm feeling he's talking more about himself.
People love to compare me to like Hugh Hefner of plus size women. I kind of like don't really want to be. I want to be unique. This is Stefan. This is Pearadise.
Yeah, people compare him to Hugh Hefner, but he doesn't like that comparison. He wants to be he doesn't want to be like Hugh. He wants to be the first Stefan. He wants to be bigger and better than you. That is pretty sick. Don't compare me to Hugh Hefner. Why? Because I'm better than Hugh Hefner. I'm the new and improved Hugh Hefner. So let me fast forward just a little bit more. So the next segments here are a little bit, I'm going to play, I don't have a lot of notes for this next segment, so I'm just going to play a few clips here and there.
American Dream.
Oh, here's where he talks about his past growing up in America. He talks about how he came to America, how he had a fetish for big women ever since he was young, but he was scared to do anything about it.
Locals would come by, then there.
Because there's always good food in this house. Everybody here loves to cook.
There are girls living in his house. Then there were people who come visit. They'll fly in and they'll stay for a couple days.
People come fly in and stay for a couple days. Those people who come and fly in are not all just women, and they're not. Some of these people who come and fly in are participating in the activities here, the sexual activities. That's implied. It's not clearly stated, but it's pretty obviously what's going on.
Week, and then they'll go home. A lot of locals would come by. They will spend nights sometimes, one of the empty bedrooms. Ivy lived locally.
So yes, local women, but they're not the only women coming over here to stay.
It's like fun.
There's a request for your makeup.
Hi. I went overboard.
Who I am, but see me for who I am, not what I look like.
So here they're just showing scenes from parties, talking about how they're celebrating them for who they are and not just how they look, which doesn't make any sense because Stefan I've never heard anybody more obsessed with appearance than Stefan. It just happens to be a different appearance than the average. Good question, Fiesta. I think the reason she isn't is I think she just is too unhealthy to leave her house. I think that Stefan probably wants her to visit. Maybe she wants to, but I just don't know if she's able to, It could be that she's too old as well. But yeah, she's too sick. I think that's the bigger issue. Oh, welcome in. Enola Raven Mare, 1870. Yes, that's something that they're going to mention later. There's 24/7 recording in the house, which ostensibly is for safety, but it can be used for nefarious purposes as well, because these recordings could record some rather compromising moments. And once it's on video, it's too late, right? Huge Heffa instead of Hefna. Right? Yes, exactly. He likes them big. This goes to show how unrealistic and crazy and harmful this whole feeder fetish stuff is. Because you're feeding people to get so big that they can't move, and then you're upset that they can't move. This is like somebody with a trying to think of a good comparison. This is like somebody with a I can't think of a good analogy, but somebody who wants something and then they don't actually want it. They want it, but they want the fantasy. They don't want the reality. He doesn't want the reality of a 700-pound woman. He doesn't want her to die. He doesn't want her to be immobile. He doesn't want her to crap herself. He wants the fantasy. He wants this giant 700-pound woman who has the health and mobility of a healthy person. He wants, it's not a realistic desire. I wasn't going to joke, but I don't even, actually, you might be serious. You actually, you know something? That's not even, I think you're, like, seriously, she probably could have been, actually. It's not even a joke. All right, so let me go on to the next clip here.
Pearadise gave me the sisterhood that I needed. It was pretty obvious that he was very interested in me.
So this is a woman, I have her name written down. This woman's name is, let me find her here. Where is it? Don't tell me I don't have her name anywhere. Come on. I could have swore I wrote her name down. Okay, I lost where I put her name. My apologies, folks. I thought I had that in my notes, but apparently it's not. But this woman here is one of the accusers. That is embarrassing. I took all these notes and I somehow lost that note. All right, we're going to continue.
I do like attention, and I was eaten up. Stefan is physically attracted to a plus-size body.
But he's not attracted to the reality of somebody who is hyper obese. And I think that as much as they talk about, I think they neglect to mention the food addiction element here. I think that's something important to mention. Stefan, yes, he's attracted to plus-size women, so-called plus-size women. Let me use the term death fat, because plus size is too benign. This isn't plus size. Plus size was 300 pounds ago. He's attracted to death fats. He's attracted to women who are barely alive. He's attracted to illness, which is why it's so sick. It's why it's so sick. It's not like it's attracted to being chubby. He's attracted to the disease, to dysfunction. Sick. So anyway, she goes on to talk about how she said to Stefan, she did not, she kind of flirted with him a little bit at first, but then she kind of had second thoughts and kind of said, you know, hey, Stefan, you know, I don't mind, you know, but you can be physical, but don't touch my belly. Apparently she said that. I don't know if she said that to him. She doesn't make it clear if she said it to him, but she does say that she doesn't like her belly to be touched and that he touched her belly. But I don't know if she specifically told him not to or not. But that's her claim. So let me continue here.
Drive here. To a fat girl.
You might be led to believe that this is your only chance. If you don't think that you deserve better, you're going to settle for something less.
That's a fair point. And I think that's why Stefan, part of why I shouldn't say that. He seems to be very attracted to the fetish element of it. But I don't think he minds the fact that he is able to manipulate these women because they feel so socially isolated. I think that's an element of his fetish that appeals to him, makes it even more attractive than just simply the physical element. So let me skip forward just a drop. So he gets out a scale and he talks about how he likes to have all the women weigh in.
Stand on the scale in front of him. He was very slick about the way that he asked me. He said normally he can like pinpoint within 5 to 10 pounds of how much somebody weighs just by looking at them. With Stefan, it felt incredibly comfortable when I probably wouldn't have even stood on a scale in front of my ex-boyfriend who I...
So Stefan is clearly into every element of this fetish. He loves every aspect of it. even just the mundane stuff, like a weigh-in, is sexual to him.
He'd been with for 10 years.
The scale will go up to about 700 pounds.
So let me skip forward just a little bit more. All right, let me play this game.
So viscerally uncomfortable with having a camera right in my face as I'm just trying to eat.
Look at all this deliciousness.
That's part of his fetish. Knowing what I know now, he's what's called a feeder.
Okay, so I do take a little bit issue to this, saying, knowing what I know now, he's called a feeder. I think all of the women there are openly into the feederism. He is openly into feederism. He doesn't even consider it a bad thing. He's an advocate for feederism. Or maybe, I don't know if he calls it feederism, but the lifestyle he loves is essentially feederism, and he claims there's no harm to it. So I'm surprised that she had never heard of feederism until after leaving the house. That's something that is just surprising to me.
He gets off sexually on watching people eat and gain weight.
But I will say that if this is something that disturbs you so much, why were you so okay with it for so long? That's one thing I need to ask. Why would somebody who hates so much to eat and the potential of eating on camera for his gratification, why would you have done it for so long? So as much as I cannot stand Stefan, I feel like I don't understand why women go there and then stay there. I can understand if they go there and then especially somebody like this woman who says that she wasn't desperate. Some of them are desperate. This woman says that she had I didn't play that part, but she said she had a place to stay. She was not in a desperate position. She chose to go there and she chose to stay there. And for your own safety, you shouldn't stay there. You need to go. Don't stay in a place that makes you feel uncomfortable. Anybody.
We are getting ready to approach Las Vegas Boulevard, one of his favorite places to take everybody at night. If you come to Pearadise...
So let me fast forward a little bit because I can't use every bit of audio here. So let me skip forward to... All right, so now they go to the Heart Attack Grill. And this part is a great photo op where he kind of goes there and he talks about how much he loves to go there and make them eat in public and how he gets a thrill out of it. It's just so obvious what's going on here. He is so clearly engaging in feederism. A lot of the women there are on a site called Feeble, which they're going to explain later. Like, this is like the feeder headquarters of the United States. So let me fast forward just a little bit here. Thank you. He should have said, don't do that stuff. Instead of encouraging it, he should have discouraged it. Exactly. Why would he encourage that? He's encouraging all this like really harmful crap. I'm glad it got shut down too, Nutty. And I'm very much into like freedom of speech and freedom of association. And I don't think we should be stopping people from eating. I'm all about like individual rights. But that place is not a good place. I'm glad it's been shut down as well. Well, interesting point. Interesting point about HFC. Although I wouldn't put it past her to enable him. She's somebody who, you know, HFC does not have the best morals in my opinion. She seems like somebody who has no problem making money off of somebody else's situation. So I'll just leave it. I don't want to talk too much about her, but she doesn't seem like the most morally upright person. I don't think that she would have a problem with it.
At Pearadise, he's easing you into his fetish. When I was at the house, he introduced me to Phoebe pretty quickly on and was like, you could have people buy you food. And I was like, okay. I don't know how I feel about it. Phoebe is a fetish website for feeders.
Okay, so here's an important part here. Quote, this is the one here who said that she had a real problem with feederism, and she claims that she did not know what feederism is until after she left the community, or did not know he was a feeder until after she left the community. And now here she talks about how he introduced her to the feeder website while she was there. That's like a sign that he's a feeder.
Easing you into his fetish.
So she says he's easing her into it. But this feels more like a crash course. I'm not seeing any easing. Like you get there and he dumps you in feet first. Like there's not any easing into it. Like the minute you get there, he's putting you on camera and making you go to the heart attack grill and weighing you in publicly. I don't see any easing in. I see being thrown in feet first.
When I was at the house, he introduced me to Phoebe pretty quickly on.
So she introduced her to Phoebe pretty quickly on while she was in the house.
And was like, you could have people buy you food. And I was like, okay.
So he tells her that she could engage in feederism, and her response is, okay.
I don't know how I feel about it.
I don't know how I feel about it. Well, you said you don't like it. Like so this is what I mean. With some of the guests don't come across as well as some of the others. This woman comes across as somebody who kind of contradicts herself a little bit when she says she didn't realize he was a feeder until after she left the community, and then says that he quickly introduced her to a feeder website after she got there. So I'd be interested to know why the producers framed it in that way.
Phoebe is a fetish website for feeders and feedies. So people who like to watch people eat and watch people gain weight, and people who they themselves like to eat and gain weight.
Women would be on these fetish websites, dating websites. They would post.
So this is where the pimping allegations come in. And this is where it becomes a little bit harder to say that this is where I really just kind of, this is where Stefan just loses any bit of deniability. He loses any bit of deniability. When you're putting these women onto a feeder website, you can no longer claim that this is a benign community. You can no longer claim this is not a fetish community when you are putting the women onto a feeder website and letting strangers pay them to engage in feeder. This is so far beyond anything that could be justified in any way that I think this was the point at which I became completely unwilling to accept any explanation from Stefan. Stefan, you are a feeder pimp, and this is the proof.
Videos themselves eating.
I get really self-conscious about eating in front of people personally, so I'm not into that. But it felt like a lot of the people who were into it, like Stefan.
I agree with you on that, and I don't want to dog HFC too much. I think I was a little bit too mean a minute ago. I don't really know much about her, so I'm trying to keep this respectful, so I really shouldn't have said anything about her. Yeah, I don't know her well enough to say anything. I'm just going to leave that alone. But why she didn't go there, that's a good question. Because she certainly is involved in this lifestyle.
They don't really see fat women as people. They see them as sexual objects.
That's the issue with fetishism in general. And that's why I object to this whole claim of body positivity, because a lot of it's linked to feederism. Body positivity, and if it were true, would be linked to loving yourself, respecting yourself, and being more able to reciprocate love to another person because you have more love for yourself. It would not be becoming vulnerable to a fetishist. And a lot of what passes for body positivity is basically feeder rhetoric. It's like two versions of the same thing. Most of the body positivity talking points reinforce the feeder lifestyle. And the body positive, quote, lifestyle looks a lot like the feeder lifestyle, just without selling the sex. So it's hard to separate the two. And a lot of people who are engaged in one are engaged in the other. Prominent body positivity advocate Tess Holliday pretty clearly does feeder content. Rosee used to be big into body positivity. She does feeder content. I mean, like, it's just, it's not a coincidence you find there's so much crossover. So that's a big part of why I take issue with the idea of body positivity. It's basically feederism repackaged to appeal to women.
Feederism can be deadly.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Feederism and body positivity it's just two sides. Feederism is from the man's perspective, and body positivity is from the woman's perspective. But it's basically the same thing.
You need to be careful. Like it can kill you.
She's right about that. Now, I'm not sure exactly what her personal timeline is, and I'm not sure when she had her epiphany, but I hope she stays to it, and I hope she gets away from this body positive movement, because this is going to return her to another feeder. I don't see how it's possible to be in the body positive movement and not end up with a guy who's a feeder, because any guy who's not a feeder is going to oppose the body positive rhetoric. He's going to say, no, I love you and I care about your health. I don't want you to die young. I don't want you to become immobile from obesity. I don't care that you're big, but I don't want you to get even bigger and lose your health and die. And if you say that, you're not being body positive. So it's just, being body positive is basically saying feeders wanted. Oh, I heard about that. That is something that would be a really good topic for a show. Thank you, Enola Raven. That is a really good topic for a show. And especially because back then there wasn't so much knowledge. There was not so much knowledge. Nowadays, there's, people who, women and men and anybody can go on the internet, they could research. But back then, people didn't know. Everybody back then was naive. Basically, everybody back then was naive. So yeah, that's, yes. And did he? Did he? I didn't realize that he admitted to an actual movie. Oh, and one thing about Roz. Roz is the queen of taking every side on every issue until she finds the one where she gets the least pushback. That's how I figured her out. That's how she does her politics. That's how she does her social issues. That's how she picks her friends online. That's how she does everything. She takes every different side on an issue, or every side that she thinks is popular, and then she sticks with the one where she gets the least pushback. That's how Roz runs her entire personality, her entire life. Just take every side until you find the one that people are going to stop telling you you're wrong.
People come and they use the word feeder as a negative. Yes, there's health concerns, absolutely, but I always found it interesting.
Keep going.
But what? There are health concerns, but I found it interesting. That's not really contradicting the concerns.
Say, you've got this.
Because one thing I cannot lie about is, like, I like big girls. So why wouldn't I like a big girl to voluntarily want to gain some weight? Like,
here's why, Stefan. Very easy question. Because there is a point at which you die. There's a point at which your health collapses. There's a point at which you become immobile. That's why you shouldn't want to see these women get even bigger. It's one thing if you say, hey, I like to see, I think you look good, a little meat on your bones. Don't get too skinny. That's whatever. But encouraging these women in your life to get so big that they can no longer move, they can no longer care for themselves, and even you become less attracted to them because you're not attracted to the reality of a 700-pound woman. You're attracted to the fantasy of a 700-pound woman. A 700-pound woman who is on a respirator and who can't be sexually active is of no interest to you, Stefan. So I don't think that you're sincere in any way. So feederism is quite harmful, and even if you want to look at it in the most benign way possible, at the very least, you're enabling addiction. At the very least, you're enabling food addiction. And I think it's typically much more than that, but at the very least, in the most harmless way possible, it's still going to be enabling food addiction. There's nothing good about enabling addiction on that scale. Okay, let's go out. Let's let it play a little more.
I would never say no to that. Yeah, curiosity is what kills the cat. But like, you know, I try everything. Technically, between two consenting adults, they can do anything.
That's a red flag. If two consenting adults can do anything, this is not something a person with healthy sexual appetites would say to justify their actions. If anybody said, "Hey, Doc, why do you think that's okay?" Well, two consenting adults can do anything. If I have to say that, then I'm probably doing something that I don't think is okay, or that other people don't think is okay. You should never have to defend your actions by saying, "Well, two consenting adults can technically do anything." That's not a good defense, Stefan. That's really not a good defense. It may be a technical defense. It may be a legal defense, but it is not a moral defense. Not in any way is that a moral defense. Canada Cool. You know what, Canada Cool? I'm glad to have you. Good to see you again, Fred. We're doing the reaction to the Pearadise doc tonight. That's why there's no video. I found a way to do the audio. Glad you can make it in. Yeah, we got the audio running for the documentary tonight. This Stefan guy, newsflash, spoiler, he's a creep, he's a predator, and I've stopped giving him the benefit of the doubt. This documentary has exposed him as being a pretty awful guy. So, yeah, welcome in, Canada Cool. Glad you can make it. Good to see you. And they stole your nutty. You got your tea stolen. Well, we got plenty of tea on this channel, right? I think you're right, Enola Raven. I think that's an issue. Like whenever you have a community, sexual tension is like a major issue. And I still think there could potentially be abuse. I think there could potentially be problems, but I think there's at least a chance. Like you say, it could theoretically work. There's a chance it could work at least. Canada Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I thought I demonetized this stream, but maybe I didn't hit the right button. But thank you. But hey, I'm glad I didn't, I guess, right? Thank you so much, Canada Cool. Very much appreciated. Big $49.99 super chat. That is very generous. Thank you so much, Canada Cool. It's really appreciate it. And I was, doing this stream, I actually clicked on the button to turn off the ads because I figured that might help me not get struck down for a copyright strike. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And thank you to all the channel members too. I haven't had a chance to thank you folks yet. And thank you to all of the viewers. Thank you to all the chatters. And if anybody would like to help this channel in a way that costs absolutely nothing, be sure to hit that like button. And if you helps even more if you could share a link to this video on your social media. That's always a really great way to help out the channel. So let us continue here. So Stefan has just finished justifying his feederism by saying he doesn't see anything wrong with it. Doesn't see anything wrong with it at all. Just an interest of his. So let me see where we are here. I got to fast forward just a little bit more.
The live stream turns off once it's hot tub time.
So this hot tub is where a lot of the problems happen. This is kind of Stefan's, trying to think of the word for it. Stefan's dungeon, in a sense. The hot tub is where the problems happen. This is where, don't go in the hot tub. That's the only advice I have. Don't go in the hot tub. Stay away. Stefan will make you regret it.
Surprise me. One night, I remember standing in that pool room and seeing everyone take their clothes off. And that little voice came in the back of my head, and I said, well, shit, they get naked, I get naked too.
I've been in this situation before. You see other people getting naked, you just kind of, it's hard, like you kind of just naturally feel like weird if you're the only one who's not naked. So like I kind of understand where she's coming from. You kind of like, hey, if everybody else is getting naked, maybe I should too, right? It's kind of one of those things. So, not trying to overshare, of course, but I do understand where she's coming from. There's definitely a peer pressure element.
A lot of the photos that I took, I'm clearly inside the pool. That's my...
All right, now there's photos here. I'm going to share just a still from this because I think I could probably get away with it. Just going to share one still really quickly. This is a photo that she's referring to. It's blurred out, anything obscene. Anything graphic is blurred out. But this is, Stefan is there in the bottom. So just to give you an idea of the atmosphere in this place, I think this picture really shows a lot. This should tell you a lot about what you're going to see here. So I'm going to take the picture back off. We're going to keep playing. And I'm glad I found a way to get around the copyright strike because I think this is fair.
My bathing suit top right there. I was the second oldest woman in the house. These women are young. If you are naive, maybe lived in a small town your whole life, you don't understand what's being presented on social media is not the whole story.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Not everybody comes into this with the same knowledge. You know, I'm somebody who spent the last few years immersed in this feederism stuff. So it feels very, feels like old news to me, but there was a time when I wasn't aware of this stuff. I will say that I think everybody should be skeptical of going to stay with a stranger who in their house. I think it's always a good idea to meet somebody in a neutral place. I also think it's a bad idea to move in if you don't have a place to stay. It's a dangerous situation to go move in with somebody when you don't have any place to go to. And I understand that some people have no option, but please be careful. Ladies, men, anybody listening, please be careful when you meet somebody online. It could go well, but there's a lot of potential for it to go wrong. Always play it safe. That's the only advice I can give here.
For the young girls who are coming in that don't really have a lot of experience, you learn quite a bit when you come to Pearadise.
Now, I have a question, and I guess I'd like to make a poll, but where the show's only going to run like another 20, 30 minutes at most. So, and if I make the poll, I'm going to get too sidetracked. So I'll just ask really quickly. Do you think that Stefan kind of throws people into this, or do you think he kind of tries to slowly groom the women in? Do you feel like if a new woman comes to his house, do you feel like he's going to take a few days and not reveal his intentions? Do you think he's going to try to isolate her and not let her see what's really going on? Or do you think he's going to just kind of like not be able to control himself and just try to jump right on her like the first, second night? I'm not really sure. And I think that both possibilities are reasonable. I'm just kind of interested in what you folks think. Do you think that he's the type to more try to, jump on quick, take the chance, he can't control himself, or he's a little more of a manipulator, going to try to, manipulate their mind first? Interested to know what you folks think.
I was 19 or 20, and I joined the Pearadise Discord.
I do too, Hippieista, and I'm surprised because I tend to be very skeptical of journalists in general, and I tend to be very skeptical of any documentary produced by Discovery ID. So I went into this expecting the worst. I expected zero journalistic integrity. I expected a very biased and one-sided account. I really had a very low expectations, and I was pleasantly surprised in some ways. And one of the ways I was pleasantly surprised is this woman, the journalist. I don't remember her name offhand, but the one who's kind of the host of the show. I thought she really did a good job at trying to be a journalist and not just presenting her own opinion. I thought she did a good job trying to present the facts as they are, even when they don't necessarily make her look good. And I respect that a lot. And I feel like not everybody in the documentary comes across equally well. I'll say it like that. That some of the people come across very well, and this journalist is one of them. There was another woman. Again, I had their names written down. I don't know what the heck happened to them, but by next week time, I'll get that list. I'll get the names again. But there was one other woman who I thought really or two other women who I thought particularly came across well. I thought Paola was one of them, and the one who was the mother of his children. I don't remember her name, but that one, I thought she also came across very well. And they really explained themselves well. They really, they advocated well for themselves. It's a good way to say it. Without appearing like they're trying to push an agenda. You know what I mean? Like some people advocate well for themselves, but it's very clear they're promoting an agenda. They're just trying to, make themselves into a star or get attention. And then you have people who come across very authentic. And some of the people in this show came across very authentic. And I really like that. I think the producers did a good job choosing guests in that way. Because sometimes guests that get chosen for these shows, like Roz, are really terrible. So thankfully, they chose some good guests to make up for the bad one. The bad ones, maybe. Who knows who else is in here. But there's a mixed bag. It's very much a mixed bag as far as who the producers put onto this documentary. Because some of them come across quite well. But then you have people like Roz. All right, so let me go back here.
I flirted with Stefan. He told me that I'm his type, Survivor. And I joined the...
When you come to
is not
Pearadise Discord.
All right, so let me get this. I think I can get this woman's name here. Savvy. All right, thankfully, I got at least one name. This woman here, Savvy, she is one of the Stefan's accusers. So she's going to recount her story here.
Ever of the Pearadise House. On the Discord, I flirted with Stefan. He told me that I'm his type. Nobody's ever said this to me before.
That's a red flag right there. Nobody's ever said this to me before. That means that she's probably emotionally vulnerable. Because I'm not sure how old she is. She looks like she's like early 30s. Maybe late 20s, early 30s. It's hard to tell sometimes if somebody's very heavy. I would estimate her to be in her early 30s. And if she's never in her life heard that she's somebody's type in her early 30s, that means she's probably not had good relationships, romantic relationships. And it gives reason to believe that she could be emotionally vulnerable. And what do predators do? They prey upon the vulnerable.
I decided to plan this trip to go to Vegas. Right before I went, I told him, hey, I don't want there to be any expectations.
Okay, so she said to him up front, I'm coming over there, but hey, I'm not promising anything. Not promising anything up front.
Not really the type of person to like give my body up to anybody.
So she goes to this sexual fetish community, but she says up front, I'm not really interested in sex. That's an odd choice, but in fairness, Stefan misrepresents the community. So that's why if he was represented the community accurately, I would feel a little differently. But if he is presenting the community as a place where there is no obligation to have sex, then I could understand why she went there with that mindset. If he had said this is a sexual fetish community and we all like to have sex here, so if you're not interested in having sex, you probably shouldn't come here. You're gonna be uncomfortable. If he said that and she chose to come anyway, I would feel a little differently. But he's misrepresented his community. And if that misrepresentation comes back to bite him in the ass, he kind of deserves it.
That's the rough part of being a bad girl, is people think you're desperate. The first night, we get into the pool, and
you're right. I've just my expectations have gone down over the years. Especially with documentaries on like Discovery Channel, that kind of thing. I have very low expectations for the journalism of documentaries in 2026 and reality TV shows. I mean, this is fundamentally, it's more of a reality TV show than anything. Like the way it's the producers, these are like reality TV type people. So that's why I was so like not expecting. And also they had Rosee in here. So, come on, I didn't expect anything, He has, Enola. I don't know about escalating. I couldn't say that. But I do believe that he's had a long time to get better at this. So that is another reason why I cannot accept his apparent naivety. naivete, is that how to pronounce it? He claims to not understand why there's all this confusion. Why don't people, why do people think it's a sexual? He says all this stuff that's just not true, and he's had a long time now to realize that he's not presenting himself accurately.
Take my swimsuit off under the water. And next thing I know, he's taking a picture of everybody. All in the name of body positivity, right? And then I was lying on the couch in the living room.
And he says this is all for so-called body positivity. And that's why I say body positivity is just the other side of feederism. Because really, is there really any difference except your point of view? Body positivity is just feederism from a woman's point of view. That's what it feels like. Exactly. He never admits it. If he's set up front, this is a sex community, a sexual community, and somebody chooses to go there knowing that, they have to go there with the expectation that they're going to be engaging in sexual acts. If he tells them, no, that's not what's going on here, yeah, then he's a creep. That's my issue. That's like the entire thing right there. If he's simply set up front, this is a sexual community, don't come here if you don't want to get down, then I think that would completely change everything. But he's not doing that. So that's why he's a creep.
Unprovoked, he just comes up and kind of grabs my butt. But I remember laying there, just being like, oh, this doesn't keep going. The whole time, Stefan was pushing my boundaries, chipping away at them. Yeah.
The fact that he portrayed it as a place that's non-sexual, and then he was unwilling to fulfill that obligation is disappointing, and it's predatory.
Any opportunity he was touching somebody. I was laying down on the bed in my room, and he just comes in and sits on the bed next to me, doesn't really say anything. Stefan lifts up my shirt and just grab my stomach.
So this is kind of his MO. He kind of likes to grab the stomach. That's kind of his I guess that's kind of his way of working his way down or working his way up from there. You kind of start, you start near the area you want to go to. So I guess he starts with the stomach and heads downstairs. I don't want to start I don't want to apply too much, but yeah, this seems like a pattern of his. Seems like a pattern.
Kind of just nervously laughed. I was afraid that it would lead to something else. What if he gets up and closes the door? Now I don't feel safe, at all.
And I can understand why she no longer felt this was a good place to be, right? I agree, Nora. I agree. And that's the issue. Some of them are naive. And even if they're not naive, Stefan needs to be open about what's going on. He can do all this wink, wink, nudge, nudge stuff, and maybe some people can recognize what's going on behind closed doors. But a lot of these women are emotionally vulnerable. A lot of these women, they don't seem very mature. They don't seem to, a lot of them have not had, they don't seem to have had a lot of experience in relationships or even a lot of experience with people in general. Some of them seem to be very vulnerable in general. And they seem even younger than their age, a lot of them. A lot of them just seem very immature, regardless of what their chronological age is. I can't really tell how old some of them are because when you're heavy, it's kind of hard to tell your age. But regardless of how old they actually are, they're immature, right? And it's clear that they're immature. I can recognize that a lot of these women are immature without spending any time with them. So Stefan spent all this time with them, he should realize that they're not, some of these women just don't seem ready for a sexual relationship.
After I told him he was making me uncomfortable, he kind of stopped. But it almost seemed like he was mad at me after that. Like he didn't want me there anymore.
So in fairness to Stefan and respect to him, he did cease before he proceeded to engage in a criminal sexual act. So good on him for not doing that. But it's still inappropriate that he took it to that extent, right? Like, I mean, it's great that he didn't, you know, that he stopped there, but it should have never even got that far. Should have never got that far, Stefan. And that's again, as a guy, I'm saying that you really need to inform these women, because these women are not most of these women seem emotionally they don't seem emotionally ready for the pressure that you're putting them under. Oh, now that is a very disturbing idea, but I could absolutely see that. I hope that's not true, but if it is, right? Like, I just hope it's not. That's in part 2, where it's yeah, that would be by far the most serious accusation against him. Again, because of the nature of being intoxicated and everything, it's blurred. But that would definitely be his most serious allegation against him. But I'm going to save that for part 2. Exactly. Starts off very innocently. So let's continue. We're nearing the end here. So let me fast forward a little bit here.
Stefan is many things. Brilliant mind. He's also a piece of shit.
So you can see she's not a fan of him.
And I have to let him grab you.
So basically she's saying that if you're in the house, you have to consent to his sexual advances. And that is the exact opposite of how he portrays himself and how he portrays the community. He portrays it as a non-sexual, platonic environment for, quote, sisterhood and body positivity. In reality, it's a den of sexual fetishism and debauchery and not respecting boundaries. So let me go on to the next segment here. I have something at 6:30. Let me see what that is. It's 6:30 in. I didn't keep a note on here, so let's see what I saved. Must be something good.
Stefan would always talk about this kind of sister-wife situation. Because she was embracing it, but it definitely was not the dynamic that she wanted.
Okay, so now we're talking about the woman who sadly lost her life. I believe it was after she left this community. Her name was Cass. Let me show a brief picture of her here. I can get away with showing one quick picture. This is a picture of her with Stefan. So that's the one who passed away. The woman who's speaking says that this Cass woman here, that she, let me rewind. Let me let her words play. Let me rewind it. Let her say it.
Talk about this kind of sister-wife situation.
So, sister-wife situation. Stefan, when he talks about sisterhood, he's being very, very coy, because what he means is a, quote, sister wives, which is a very disturbing concept, which is where you act like your family and you share a man, and it's just it's very I mean, people can do what they want, but it doesn't sound healthy. And if people are being manipulated into something, then it's definitely not healthy, right? So she goes on to say that Cass was aware of this, but she was not happy with the situation. Let her explain why.
Cass, she was embracing it, but it definitely was not the dynamic that she wanted. Cass loves Stefan so much. She would have done anything for him, for sure. He knew that. And seeing the way that Stefan treats people, It was very clear to me the level of manipulation that happens is out of this world.
So this here's Paola. She's another former guest of the community. She's one of the other women who comes across especially well.
There's a lot of conditioning, and there's so much going on. You have that feeling of like, right now, I can't say no.
And I think that she presents a very balanced perspective, and that's part of, I think it's good to get all these different perspectives, because some of them are different than the others. Even though they're similar, even though they're describing the same events, it's good to get the different perspectives of the different women in the house, because they don't all describe it in the exact same way. So it's interesting to hear.
At Pearadise, he basically had all the women in the house wrapped around his finger. Despite him doing what he did, I was scared of hurting his feelings. I was scared of making everybody else feel uncomfortable because I was upset.
So this is how the group dynamic works to Stefan's advantage here, because he's able to misrepresent his community. And instead of the women saying, Stefan, I'm not comfortable with you misrepresenting your community, it's unfair to new guests. It's unfair to the people who are here. It's inappropriate. You're putting yourself at risk, and you're putting your guests at risk. But no, instead it's the opposite. They maintain this environment where nobody is comfortable to say what they feel is really going on.
Left the house. I had to decompress. I was just thinking, like, I'm not the only person who's done this to. And then I saw a video saying that Pearadise isn't safe.
Okay, so let me skip forward just a little bit. I'm going to skip forward to this part here. There's a young lady who kind of starts a TikTok account to critique this community and critique Stefan. And I do agree that this Stefan deserves critique and condemnation even. But I would like to see a little bit more condemnation for the feederism as well. Because just because Stefan is a creep doesn't mean that if he wasn't a creep, this place would be okay. Even if he respected everybody's sexual boundaries, even if he was upfront about this being a sexually based community, he's still a feeder. He's still contributing to enabling these women's addictions. And that's not a good thing. And I think any criticism of Stefan needs to include that criticism as well. So that's one of the issues I do take with some of his critics. I feel like they're neglecting a very important element of what of his transgressions.
Awesome. My heart breaks for him right now because he just lost his.
And I joined the Discord to make friends with other plus-size girls.
Go follow him.
There's not really too much here to say on this part. So I'm going to fast forward just a little bit. I think we're basically done with part one.
They felt validated that someone from the plus-size community was finally speaking out about this guy.
There's so much I can't say.
So she's really just kind of talks about how she kind of started an online social media campaign where all of the former guests who had accusations could come together to share them.
I think it took a lot of courage. And so my first real question was, what do you want me to do?
I'm so thankful for these strong women. They need to be heard.
I was just going to be quiet until I talked to Kimmy, and Kimmy's like, I'll be in your corner no matter what happens. I said, full speed ahead, talk.
So this is basically the end of part one here, where they're kind of just setting the stage and saying, so some of the women who've gone there have had a great time and they really love Stefan and they endorse the community. But then there's a lot of women who've said that it's a front. It's not really the positive place he presents it as. And it's basically just a fetish community where he is misrepresenting himself and he's exploiting the people who go there. At this point, I can't really, like I said, I kept an open mind. I still have an open mind, but I'm pretty much convinced at this point that Stefan is a creep. He's a predator, and I'm not going to make any excuses for him at this point. So I think we're going to wind it down. Let me pull up a little video clip here. bumper. And let me take a moment to thank everybody, and let me read through a little bit of chat before I close it out, because I do want to thank everybody. And let me pull something up here, so just give me a second. Let me take a second here to thank all of the channel members. You're all very much appreciated. And I'm glad to have each and every one of you. I would like to take a moment to thank, this is the wrong membership. Okay, I had the glitter files on here. Let me see if I can find the correct one. There was a more recent one that had, because like Glitter Files is also a tier 2 member. So she gets a shout out as well this week. I made the thing and now I can't find it. So my apologies, Glitter Files, but your name should have been up there. Hopefully that counts as the shout out for this week. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, all of the chatters. Thank you, all of the mods. Thank you, all the guests. Thank you, everybody watching the replay. Let me put on the bumper and the music. I'm going to send you fine folks off. I'm really glad that I was able to show off the Pearadise show without getting blocked by HBO. I think this is actually a pretty good way to do it. I'm going to try using more audio and more video next time, kind of see how much I can get away with. But I think I found a way that I can get away with, that I can restream content for review purposes. So I think I may have found a way to do this. So I might be able to start doing 90 Day Fiancé as well, which I think some of you wouldn't mind seeing. Thank you so much for coming by. Ooh, I didn't even consider that. Ugh, that's disgusting. Yeah, there's just a lot of nasty stuff going on here, Enola Raven. I don't want to, say anything until I know for sure, but I'll just settle on this. Stefan is a predator, he's a creep, and that's where I'm gonna end it for today. Yes, please like and subscribe, everybody. If you enjoyed the show, if you enjoyed the stream, very much appreciated. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and look out for yourselves, take care of yourselves, respect yourselves, and don't tolerate feederism. You're all right, Nutty. I could potentially do that as well. I like having the reach on YouTube. I like more people being able to see the channel. I feel like on Discord, I just feel like not many people would see it, So if there's any way I can do it on a bigger platform, I'd like to. But if it's truly impossible, then I will have to do it on something else. But thank you for the suggestion, Nutty. I do appreciate it. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening. So good night, Ipista. Good night, Nutty. Good night, Elizu. Good night, Enola Raven. Good night, Canada Cool. I know you're out there somewhere. Good night, good night, everybody. I don't see anybody else in the chat. Okay. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.